Hi guys, Troublmaker here, and soon I'll be doing a new series on Stardew Valley, a new farming simulator, and I really do enjoy these, and I like to try and make it a little bit funny. Uh, but for today, to start, I'm going to be doing a little video on some highly requested data, and that is on the profitability of crops. And specifically, we're looking at the agroeconomics, so we want to know what the threshold of them. So as far as my methodology goes, I just planted all the crops, watered them meticulously, harvested them, and then the next day I got the data on how much they are valued, and then there's some other things I've added in of value, such as the growth time and the cost. And so, here is the list of profitable crops. Cauliflower comes in as easily the most profitable out of all of them. In terms of its per day value. After this, we're looking at the potato, and big little asterisks on the potato. I did about 200 potatoes, and out of those 200 potatoes, I got 50 times I got an extra potato. Actually, it was 44 times, but I'm going to say 50 and round it up because that makes a nice 25% number as being pretty reasonable, saying that 1 in 4 times you'll hit an extra potato. So it looks a little bit higher in profitability than it should be. That's because we're adding an extra potato every 4 potatoes. Then we go to our next profitable one, which will be very, very surprisingly jazz. Jazz is kind of a weird plant, and plants for the most part are not that good. And yeah, when you're looking at the other ones, I think tulip and kale go in direct competition with potato, and they just don't really compete at all. And then the bean is a little bit weird because you get 3 harvests over time, but not all in subsequent days. So they're really hard to figure out their profitability. But it is quite low. It is quite low. Still higher than parsnip, still higher than potatoes, but you just don't get to harvest so many of them. So it's I have a profitability of 10 here, and like you're gonna look at that and say like that's really high, but that's over the 10-day harvest period, or the 12-day harvest period, and you're getting a lot of them, and yeah. Your harvest period, it's not actually a 12-day harvest period, it's a 12-day growth period, and you're going to be harvesting them over time. And so yeah, they're pretty good to add in initially, but multiple harvests of them are pretty bad. So yeah, this kind of shows that cauliflower is king, and this only shows cauliflower is king assuming that you have infinite income. Now since the game starts off at spring, the ability to grow your assets are going to be very important early on. And so you start off with 500 gold and you get 12 parsnips. And so what I've done is I've created growth charts based on how many harvests you get. So the number 1 profitable crop is actually one of the weakest crops in terms of profitability. It's the parsnip. And the reason why this ends up being the most profitable crop over time is because it has a 4-day growth period, which gives it the most times that you can harvest it. Now, what I've added on to this in all of these, just to be fair, is it's going to take 1 extra day where you're going to have no crops potentially growing, which realistically will never happen. You'll always have crops growing because you're probably going to forage a bit and sell some stuff and all that stuff. But I assume with this natural growth model that there'll be 1 day where you have no crops. You have harvested everything and you're selling it. And once you sell it, you are going to bring it to market and sell it, all that sort of stuff, and you have to go to market, buy more crops, come in, plant your new crops. I haven't accounted for energy. So this is assuming you have an infinite supply of energy, which is not realistic at all. But with parsnips, you can get 5 harvests in the springtime, and that brings you up to the number 13,046 gold. That's going to be, a pretty good estimate on the number. When you go through other crops, you're not looking so good. Cauliflower, for example, only gets 1 harvest. Beans get 2. The remaining ones all get 3. And when you're looking at the remaining ones, potatoes are not too bad. In 3 days, you're gonna hit 5,600 gold, which is still, over half, well over half of what parsnips will make. And the jazz will make a quarter in terms of profit of what the parsnips make. So pretty damning, but interestingly enough, one of the least profitable crops individually in an infinite income model is actually going to be one of your most profitable in a nonlinear model. Now, in terms of what you're going to do in terms of profitability, growing parsnips early on as much as possible is going to be your best bet, because this is going to allow you to raise a lot of early revenues that you can use for other things. And obviously, when your energy starts to run low, that is when you're starting to hoe out that ground and plant your crops and water them, and you're feeling like the whole day is just drained on you. Well, honestly, at that point, that's the point where you're going to start swapping out parsnips and start adding in something like potatoes or jazz or a cauliflower or two if you're willing, if you have time. So that's it for me. I feel like this is a pretty good breakdown of the agroeconomics of a spring in this particular game. I will be starting a brand new series, and intermittently I'll be doing these little economic videos. Before I leave, another thing I left out was the fact that there are actually going to be trees that produce fruit and berries. I haven't included these because those fruit and berries produce an infinite supply. The tree never dies or never goes away, and there's no real way of tracking the profitability. You can track the added value of them, how much you're getting out of them every day or every 2 days. That's worthwhile looking up, but you can't really track how profitable it's going to be, because it's going to be an infinite asset that'll be around forever. So it makes them worthwhile to get. But obviously it's not going to have the giant booming profitability on a daily basis, and it's going to be more profitable the longer you play the game. So that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and make sure to check out my new series on the game. I will see you guys then.